What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. It seems like every single day there's something new regarding the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it comes to rumors, it comes to just talk. Kyle Dubas himself, and that's kind of the basis of this video. I have so much I want to talk about in the next couple days. I've even considered starting to do a live show every day because there's been so much stuff to talk about. Let me know what you guys think about that. A live Leafs rumor show almost every day, live streamed here on YouTube, that you guys can interact with. I think that that'd be really cool. But I wanted to take a couple days, read some of the headlines, read some of the quotes, and watch it myself in regards to Dubas's press conference. Now, excuse me, I'm not feeling very good today. So if in this video I look a little off, I'm just not feeling good. I'm just being completely honest. But let's get right into this. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Also, I'd like to say go subscribe to Downtown Sports. Is a good friend of mine. He does great stuff. His channel is always linked on my channel. He does great Leaf videos. I just wanted to shout him out real quick. But Pierre LeBrun, all right, he just kind of knocked it down into points that we could look at here. And this was from a couple days ago. Now, the 4 takeaways from Dubas's media availability. That's why it says avail. 1, hopes to make a trade ASAP because of the 14-day quarantine. Now, this is quite obvious because the world we're living in right now, okay? If there's going to be a trade between a Canadian and a U.S. team, which more than likely that's going to happen because of how close the Canadian division actually is if you look at the standings, because I think some people thought the Leafs have a bigger lead than they do. They don't. If there's going to have to be a trade, I would think it's going to be happening very soon. He would trade a top prospect. If you guys did watch the clip of Kyle Dubas, they said, would you trade a top prospect? And he just flat out said yes. And we'll get into that in a second. He would prefer a rental player for once over a hockey deal. Now, a lot of people are saying, like, what's a hockey deal? Now, that would more than likely be like money in, money out with like guys who have contracts for the next few years. Now, Dubas never says that, oh, we're not going to do that. There's no way we're not going to make a hockey deal. We're not going to acquire guys with term. But because of the upcoming expansion draft with Seattle, which I will be making videos on, don't worry, it'll get very complicated for the Leafs to be able to hold on to everybody that they want to. So they're probably going to have to make a trade for a rental player to ensure that they keep all the guys that they want to. And, if not, they're going to have to make a trade with Seattle to tell them to take a specific player, or else, it's not going to work out, and they'll have to pay a premium for that. Then confirms that the forward position is leading their deadline discussions. Now, I would think that there's 2 sides to this. First of all, I need to get this out of the way. The Leafs are not just going to trade for a forward just because Dubas said that that's leading their discussions, that most talks have been about forwards. I think it's more or less Dubas just saying, we have a pretty decent back end. We like the guys that are playing. If we can make an upgrade there, we will. And it's probably the same thing when it comes to goaltending, or he just doesn't want to show his hand, hoping that maybe when he contacts a team about help on the blue line, or maybe even in goal, which I will make a video on as well, that they're not going to be as wanting him to overpay as much, or maybe the price isn't going to be as high, because he could just be like, well, I'm looking for forwards, like I said, so I don't really need to make this trade. I need to also mention that a lot of people are on Dubas because they think that he has to make a move in terms of the blue line. I don't think that he has to. I think that he definitely should look at it, but I don't think that it's a, like 100% thing that he has to make a move on. I do think the forward depth is good, but it could be even better. I talked about the fact that the Leafs could go with their own rentals by Simmons coming back and Nick Robertson getting a shot. Hey, and even Alex Galchenyuk can be an own rental type of thing. But listen, they're going to explore every avenue here. And another thing I want to address before we look into some of these prospects is that I think that Kyle Dubas didn't show his hand. I know that there's been some people in the media saying, oh, he said too much. But it's funny, when he doesn't say anything, then they say he didn't say enough. So I don't think this guy's ever going to win, but I think it's quite obvious that he just wants to make a move. But the big thing here is that the Leafs are willing to trade a top prospect. Now, who are the Leafs' top prospects? We will get into that in just a second here. But I made a tweet the other day and I said, to make a big trade, as much as I'd like to keep a Robertson or even a Hallander, you have to pay what you believe to be, a premium or at least a good asset to get good assets in return. If the Leafs can find a way to make a Jake Muzzin style deal that included a first round pick and a couple prospects that aren't exactly going to kill your prospect pool, you do that. But if you can't make a trade like that and you have to overpay, you might have to pay a premium to get a star player. Like if you like, and I don't mean like a bona fide star. I mean a guy that can come in and put you over the top. A guy that's going to come in and people are going to go, "Whoa, the Leafs really made that trade." Listen, teams have done it before. Tampa's paid a premium and they won the Stanley Cup. I mean, Pittsburgh's done it before. Lots of teams have done this. They've paid premiums and it's paid off. There's been teams that have paid premiums and it hasn't paid off, but you have to take that shot. When you have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, when you have a chance to get to the next level, you have to be okay with trading a first round pick. You have to be okay with trading a top prospect and combining those things together. But I will add, I would only want to do that if it means that the player coming in is going to make a serious impact. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. But let's kind of take a look here at some of the guys that were mentioned. Ignore all the tabs. This is all the video stuff that I've been trying to make lately. So trust me, lots of content is on the way. Nick Robertson, of course, 19 years old, second round pick in the 2019 draft. This guy has to be a Maple Leaf. I do not want this guy traded. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Look at these numbers, man. This right before the lockout happened, well, lockdown technically for what. I can't say the words for, what's going on in the world right now because apparently YouTube like flags and blocks a lot of those videos for some reason. It's kind of ridiculous, but 86 points in 46 games played. The guy just puts up a massive amount of points, but he scores a ton, 55 goals. Look at with the Marlies this year because the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League, like there's a bunch of different rules between the Ontario Hockey League and the NHL and the AHL. It's all a big mess, but because the OHL is not playing, Nick Robertson can play for the Toronto Marlies, which is obviously good because it's helping his development. This guy is too good for the OHL. I would argue he's too good for the AHL as well. 9 points in 10 games played doesn't seem like like crazy, but he is 19 and he doesn't stop putting up points no matter where he goes. The penalty minutes is a little bit questionable here, but I mean, the Leafs are just looking for this guy to put up big numbers, and he's a great prospect. I would really like to see the Leafs give him a chance as soon as possible. Obviously, another name that gets talked about a lot is Timothy Liljegren. Now, I've been on record saying that I would trade Timothy Liljegren, but it would have to be a really good trade. And the reason I'm saying that is because the Leafs are really, really, and I mean really trying to put all their effort into grooming him into a really good two-way defenseman. And it's done wonders for him. He looks way better from what I've seen, from what I've heard from people that watch the Marlies and study the Marlies. This guy looks a lot better. I've seen him play in person. Let me tell you, the first time I seen him play, I came home and I think it was DTSB, Downtown Sports. And I said, Liljegren is not good. The guy didn't look good. But I wasn't like, he's a bust, like get rid of him. I was like, they really need to work on this guy. And they have been working on him, and I think that he is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. I would really like to see the Leafs utilize this guy next season because I think the Leafs are going to have a pretty sizable offseason. And again, I keep saying it, but there's going to be lots of videos. Former first round pick. Of course, he fell down the draft. He was supposed to be a top 5 pick, but he was sick, and people were worried about his health. But he's nice and healthy now from what we know and what we've seen. He's shown that he can put up good numbers. He's playing well this season, and he's currently on the taxi squad for the Leafs. I'd really like the Leafs to hold on to this guy. Rasmus Sandin. Now, this is probably the biggest name that people are talking about. If there was any untouchables, I think Sandin and Robertson are the two untouchables. I think that those are Dubas guys for sure. the development of Sandin has been talked about at large because a lot of people don't think that this guy has what it takes to be a top 4 defenseman. And some people are going to scratch their head, but there's a lot of people that don't believe that this guy is, cut out to possibly take over for a spot that Morgan Rielly has had for years and years. And I don't mean that he's going to take all the minutes, but if guys like Muzzin and Brody and Hall can handle minutes, and the Leafs can have Dermott, Liljegren, and Sandin in the lineup next year, a Morgan Rielly trade to get another defenseman and maybe some asset management so Rielly doesn't walk for free, it might be in the cards here. But again, we've seen this guy. He can put up points. He's been hurt a lot this year. I'm just hoping for him to get better, but it would have to be a pretty sizable trade for him to go. Just going to go quick through here a little more into these guys. Amirov, the guy who the Leafs got this year, 15th overall selection. We got that first round pick from Pittsburgh. 13 points in 39 games played in the KHL. He did pretty well in the World Juniors, and I believe he did pretty well in the playoffs too. Or no, sorry, so not these playoffs. He just looked okay from what I heard. I was gonna bring up one of his reports. I completely forgot to get it, but the reason I said that is because people said he played pretty well even though he had no points. But World Juniors is where he put up some decent numbers in the under 20 Russian team, but. A lot of people have him as untouchable. I think that he is a guy that can be a second line player for this Leafs team in the coming years. But again, with the right trade, and it has to be a pretty big one, I would think Amirov would be on the table, but it would have to be a pretty big trade. Just going through a few quick ones here. Hallander, this is another guy that we got from Pittsburgh. Has pretty good numbers. A lot of people think that he could be a Leaf next year. Like, shockingly, like he might be able to fit into the team next year. A lot of people are impressed by him. 22 points in 47 games played doesn't look like a ton, but he's still pretty young, 20 years old, and has potential to be a pretty decent player in the NHL. He would be a guy that I would be surprised if they traded. But again, like I keep saying, any of these guys could get dealt, and for the right trade, they can be had. Mikko Kokkonen, there's a couple defensemen here. It's Kokkonen and Topi Nimella, both guys here. I don't know as much about Kokkonen. From what I have heard, though, is that he was kind of a bit of a sleeper pick in round 3, and it's worked out for the Leafs so far. They like the way that he's developing, so that's another guy that could be had. And Topi Nimella's name has actually been tossed around. He actually is a pretty solid two-way defenseman. His development has shown that. And from what I've been reading, a lot of people think that he is also a pretty solid pick for the Leafs there in the 3rd round of the 2020 NHL entry draft, and that he could turn some heads for the Leafs in terms of his development and probably be a decent guy to fit in years to come in an NHL lineup. So those are the guys that I would put in as not just top prospects, but guys that could be had in big trades. And the reason why I say big is because the reported asking price for the best defenseman in the trade bait right now is Mattias Ekholm of the Nashville Predators. Obviously a solid defenseman, can play a really good two-way game, and he's a left-handed shot, but I still think that the Leafs would benefit from getting him and playing him on the right side or having somebody else play the right side. But just imagine the depth on the Leafs lineup if they were able to add Mattias Ekholm. You're probably going to lose out on a Dermott. I wouldn't want them to, but there's a possibility that could happen. Again, you have to give to get. You're definitely giving up the first-round pick. But again, if the asking price is the Jake Muzzin type of package, which was a first and 2 decent prospects, the Leafs could do that. There just has to be another trade in terms of retained salary or a third team, or maybe trading a defenseman or a Kerfoot or something like that if you're able to get. Again, we're going to be talking about this for days, but the Leafs can make this happen. Just know Brandon Pridham basically wrote the book. There's a possibility they can make this move, but I'm really excited to see what Kyle Dubas does. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I do believe that the Leafs are very focused on making a move. And I would just be happy with an upgrade at the forward position and at the blue line, even if they aren't crazy big acquisitions. I can't speak today. I told you guys I'm a little off, but even if they aren't big ones, enough that it's like, okay, this player can help us. We're going to be better off with this player, and they might have to look at the goaltending position too. they might have to. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. Yeah, there's lots of Leafs content coming up, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, make sure to sub to me and my buddy Downtown Sports. I keep shouting him out because he's been doing real well. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.